It's 9:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, January the 25th, 2024. I'm going to say about, give or take, 12 hours or so. I got a message in my inbox that you can book it. Keith Thurman and Tszyu are going to be fighting to launch the Amazon deal. So I posted here on my Twitter page. Where is it at? Tszyu versus Keith Thurman. Little eyes, as you can see, I wasn't on social media for a while. And I got that post. So I was like, all right, cool. This guy, in the past, he's given me some pretty solid intel. So I posted that. And then, lo and behold, about give or take 2 hours or so, it appeared on ESPN. I'm in the bed at the time, and I'm like, oh shit, it's actually really happening. Welcome to TstreeT Controversy and Fight View 360. Got my colleague Big J on the line. We're going to talk about this fight. It's going to be taking place on March the 30th in Vegas. It's going to launch the PBC on Amazon Prime deal, which we're still waiting for full details to emerge. Now, as I've heard, I don't know if it's true, but don't shoot the messenger. There's supposed to be some type of big time announcement coming up this weekend. It's Thursday right now. I guess that does kind of make sense, being though the card would be 2 months away. We're still waiting on full details on how the Amazon deal is going to work. We're hearing it's going to be at least 14 dates. Pay-per-view, that's going to be prelims. We don't know who the announcement team is. We don't know who the commentators are. But a lot of what we are hearing, for those in the know, is it's going to be a lot of the former Showtime boxing team, which is a good thing, an experienced team. We don't know how they're going to be all integrated into the broadcast. Amazon Prime. I can't wait to see how it works out. We don't know what the pay-per-view price is going to be before we get into the card. We don't know, just like the Zone, that if you have an Amazon Prime subscription and if you buy the pay-per-view through the subscription, will you get a discount? Whether if you buy on regular pay-per-view, which it will be, it'll be available on your cable and satellite, and then also over in Australia, it's going to be available on Australian main event KO Foxtel pay-per-view. So let's jump on into things. So what we're hearing right now is, by the way, take your time out, like the video, subscribe. I guess you can call this the season premiere here, as we got a lot of high-profile fights coming up. For example, just in less than 3 weeks. Actually 3 weeks from about a little bit over 3 weeks, about 23 days or so, we are going to have Tyson Fury versus Alexander Usyk and a whole slew of fights coming after that. So here's what the card's supposed to be. Tszyu, Keith Thurman as the main event. Roller Romero versus Isaac Cruz. That just threw us. Ryan Garcia, that's a whole different video. You have Lindy Lara defending his WBO 160-pound title against Mick Zarafa in the fight that was ordered. It was originally supposed to be Lara versus Dana Garcia, but we're waiting to see what's going on with that. Sergey Bohunchuk, I forgot to pronounce his name, versus Sebastian Findor. And then there's going to be prelim cards under that. So this is the main pay-per-view portion. Now, if I was to rate this card on a scale of 1 to 10, I like Lara versus Arafa. I like Rolly versus Isaac Cruz. I like Tszyu versus Keith Thurman. So I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10. My personal opinion. I like the card. Pay-per-view wise, however, I'm going to give it a 6.5, 7 out of 10, because this is Tszyu's first pay-per-view here in the States, and his Showtime numbers have been abysmal, like low. His fights he's had on Showtime. And Keith Thurman, by the time he steps into the ring on March the 30th, it will be his 5th fight in 7 years. 5 fights since 2016. The last time he fought was 25 months ago when he fought Mario Barrios. He's never fought at 154 pounds officially, and then this fight is taking place at a catchweight of 155, basically 160 middleweight, because the WBO doesn't want to sanction the fight for the title because Keith Thurman's been inactive. And before I bring in Big J, let me explain to you why. Years ago, Austin Trout, about 6-7 years ago, I did a video on it, sued the WBO because he was removed from the rankings, and basically he was in a prime spot to get Canelo in a rematch before Liam Smith got the Canelo fight. And he ended up suing the WBO. So in order for Keith Thurman to be in the rankings, somebody would have to be removed. And he hasn't fought in so long. So before we bring in Big J, let me just say this. I personally feel that PBC owes Tszyu some type of high profile fight or a payday for what happened with Jamel Charlo when he went on to fight Canelo. But I kind of feel like this is a cash grab, maybe retirement fight for Keith Thurman, because what does he do if he loses? Do you trust that Keith Thurman's going to be right back out there in 6 months, maybe even a year, given his history? We don't know. So, Big J, what are you making of this news? It's still, like, I'm still wrapping my head around it.
Well, first of all, it's Australia. It's January 26th, so Aussie, oi, 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 Australia Day. Happy Australia Day to all the Australians out there. But this, I'm actually a little shocked because I thought Tszyu was well past fighting blown up, washed up welterweights. And this is the blown up, washed up welterweights and all blown up, washed up welterweights, because Keith Thurman has done absolutely fuck all for the last 2 years. And his last fight, he fought a blown up 140er himself.
Yeah.
So I was actually, when these reports come in, I was actually fucking furious that this was actually going to be a title fight. But since learning that the WBO is not sanctioning this fight for the world title, which good on them because they shouldn't have, because it's a bullshit fight. It really is. It's just a bullshit fight. It's a cash grab for Thurman. It's a showcase fight for Tszyu to get his name out there and try to get on pay-per-view. But having said that, let's look at the positives. Tszyu's headlining in Vegas, right? Just like he always wanted. Tick. Keith Thurman's coming back.
The T-Mobile
and possibly
Arena.
getting a cash grab retirement fight. Tick. Mick Zarafa's finally getting his shot against into Larry Lara, which after all that 15 months of bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Tick. Rolly's fighting, well, he should have been fighting Garcia, but Rolly Romero's fighting Isaac Cruz. Tick. Sam Goodman will be on the card. He'll probably be on the preliminaries. I've heard Sam Goodman will be on the card because it's co-promoted by Main Event. Tick. Sebastian Fedora is going to return after the Brian Mendoza knockout. Tick, possibly as a next opponent for Tszyu. I dare say the winner will probably be in line to fight Tszyu. Tick. What's the other tick? And, of course, the biggest tick of all, No Limit gets to keep Tszyu versus Zarafa on the back burner, especially if Zarafa wins. So there's a lot of positives in this fight. There's a lot of positives in this card. The Tszyu-Thurman fight itself is a bullshit fight.
Mm-hmm.
Just fighting another blown-up, washed-up welterweight to add to the 6 blown-up, washed-up welterweights he's already fought. But
it's a name.
Because it's not... sorry, go ahead.
It's a high-profile name. In the boxing
It
circles...
is
One thing I can say about Keith Thurman is when he is active, he brings in good TV numbers and good pay-per-view numbers. He's always had.
Well, that's a good thing because Keith Thurman's got a good fan base, but he hasn't done anything in 2 years. How many of those fans are still going to be there?
Yeah, exactly. You know, and a lot of fans are looking at this as a cash-out fight. I've been, looking on social media. A lot of fans are feeling, that he's cashing out. And let me say something right here. I have interviewed, Keith Thurman is probably one of the only fighters that I've interviewed in 5 different places. Basically 5+ times. He's listed here at BoxRec at 5'9.5". That man is 5'7". I pulled up these images here of him against Pacquiao here. Pacquiao 5'5". As you can see, there's not much of a height difference there as they're facing off. And Tszyu, he's listed at 5'8.5". I can believe that. I can believe that Tszyu is about 5'9". But it is no way that Keith Thurman is taller than. Put it this way, Tszyu has a good 2 inches on Keith Thurman. And my concern about Keith Thurman, which is why I'm put it this way, I'm not saying I'm not giving him a chance to win, but he's got a jelly belly.
Tszyu is going to knock him out inside of 3 rounds with a gut shot that will send him into death valley.
Julio Diaz touched him up to the stomach. Jesus Soto Carras touched him up to the stomach. Sean Porter touched him up. Luis Collazo had him on a bit of a bike. Danny Garcia, not too much, but he did shatter his elbow. Jose Zito Lopez had him running around the ring from that body shot. And, of course, Manny Pacquiao with the body shot. Mario
Having
Bart.
said that,
So go ahead.
having said that, Tszyu has not used his body attacks like he used to for about 3 or 4 fights, because he didn't use it against Harrison. He went headhunting. He didn't need to use it against a combo because he knocked him out in like 90 seconds. And he didn't really use it against Mendoza either.
No,
so
he didn't.
His body attacks has not been as focused as what they used to be.
But
So
he been knocking everybody out though, so that's what he's been going for. But in this case, it is well known that Keith Thurman has some issues to the body, like very similar to Usyk, except Keith Thurman's has been worse and more well documented. And then moving up to a new weight too, he's going to be the smaller fighter. And Keith Thurman, even at 147, he wasn't a guy that blew up any more than 10 pounds. So he would weigh in at 145, 147 or whatever, but he never would come into the ring in the 160s.
Nah, he'd be lucky to come into the ring at probably 160 once he finishes the weigh-in.
Yeah.
So if he's going to weigh in at 155, he won't blow up much more than that because he's only a small fella.
And then it's at a catch rate of 155. I wonder if they put some type of rehydration clause in there somewhere that they're probably not allowed to talk about.
Yeah, there's the WBO sanction. I know the IBF does it, but the WBO
remember, it's no title on the line. This is a non-title fight. This is Tszyu's voluntary. He can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, well, true. So
any word what happened with the Lubin fight? I mean, to me, on paper, well, financially, this is a much bigger fight, the Thurman fight. It is. The Lubin fight, I still would have had Tim winning. Put it this way, but however, Keith Thurman can box. We can say that. Like him losing to Manny Pacquiao, that was one of the signs right there that PBC was in some trouble. Keith Thurman was not supposed to lose to Manny Pacquiao. He was supposed to win and then go on to build up that Errol Spence fight. So when he lost to Manny Pacquiao, that messed up a lot of plans for PBC. But the fact that he lost to old man Pacquiao, that was also very telling. Pacquiao is a very special fighter. Don't get me wrong, but it is no way that somebody of the caliber at the age he was, by the way, Keith Thurman is 35 right now. He'll be 36 in November. There's no way at that point in time he should have lost to Manny Pacquiao, in my personal opinion. But once
he shouldn't have, but
go ahead.
What was he doing before he went to the ring? The moron was eating pizza before he fought Pacquiao. How fucking
he was, and gambling. I think he was up all night gambling too, I believe, from what I remember.
Yeah, well, clearly he wasn't taking the fight seriously. You're fighting Manny Pacquiao, who doesn't fuck around.
Yeah.
You'd be a fool not to take that fight seriously. But anyway, as I said, if this fight goes past 30 rounds, I will be very, very surprised because I really think that Tszyu is just going to walk in there, kill him, right, and be home in time for a 10 o'clock nightcap.
Yeah, it's hard for me. It's hard for me to believe Keith Thurman can box. I'm not going to take that away from him. He does have a high ring IQ, but the body, the inactivity, 25 months by the time he gets into the ring.
Exactly.
moving up. We can say 2 divisions. He's moving up to 155. Like the odds are against him, but the money must be good, and he's trying to get this last big payday. With that being said, we're going to wait for it to be officially announced. Closing thoughts?
Well, it's a good card. I mean, you really can't fault the card because the card's good because it's got it's got so many positives.
Mm-hmm.
So many positives. Okay, Tszyu's fighting to Keith Thurman. Bullshit fight against yet another blown up, inactive, washed up welterweight. Okay, right. Mm-hmm. I really didn't want him going down this path because he's sort of pulling the same shit Danny Green did when he was IBO champion, fighting guys that are blown up light heavyweights that shouldn't be in the ring, that had long activity periods.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what's the benefit for this fight? I mean,
it's the name.
Is it a
it's
legacy
the Thurman
fight?
name.
Really?
It's the Thurman name. That's it. It's
name,
the scalp.
Yeah, it is a big scalp, and Tim will knock the crap out of him inside of 3 rounds. I seriously doubt that Thurman's going to be any real threat. But if he does win, that derails Tszyu. He's going to get embarrassed. But I don't think that's going to happen. But there is a chance that it might happen. I seriously doubt it will. But you think that these guys this has been pre-calculated, and this is actually pretty funny. Remember on our last podcast, I actually said that Zarafa needed the beg no limit to pick up their fight and put it on the Tszyu
Yeah,
card.
you're right. And they did. They got it.
Yep, so I'm either a very good predictor of stuff or I've got insider knowledge, and I'll leave that to the audience to decide for themselves because I'm not telling them. So I'll leave a little bit of conspiracy there for the video. You guys figure out whether I'm really good at predicting shit or I actually know what's going on. I'll leave it to you.
Well,
that's my final thoughts. I'm looking forward to it.
Go ahead.
Lots of positives. It's a bullshit showcase fight, but you got to look past that and look at all the positives of a card. So hopefully it pulls off. Hopefully they get high pay-per-view because it'll do extremely well in Australia. It'll do extremely well. There will be a lot of pay-per-views in Australia. Tszyu, Vegas, Zarafa's on the card. I think Sam Goodman probably won't be on the pay-per-view portion, but there's a lot of positives to this, and it'll do very well in Australia. And hopefully it just builds Tszyu's name to continue to fight in America, which I've always said the whole time he doesn't really need to do. But if that's what he wants, then
well, here now he's in the big boy arena. He's in the T-Mobile arena. You know, like
good.
He's in the big one. So final question: you think that this is the type of fight that fans are going to travel for?
I think, remember, Australians will see anything. I think for the spectacle, yes, they will.
Travel for it, though?
Yeah, I believe they would. It's just unfortunate that they couldn't get it done around the same time as the NRL kickoff because two birds, one stone. But I think the boxing fans, the pure boxing fans, the ones that don't give a rat's ass about footy, will go.
Yeah.
The casuals, I think the purist fans will go. I mean, the mad Tim Tszyu fans, they'll go. There will be a lot of fans go over there, but it will rate very highly on pay-per-view, I guarantee it. It'll be a very, very high pay-per-view in Australia for sure. Because you've also got Zarafa fans out there, even though there's, I don't know how many of them there are.
We're going to wait and see when this official announcement happens. We'll be able to get all the details. And I'm sure they're going to have a big media rollout with probably virtual calls and pressers. So I'm interested to see. I'm actually getting excited for the PBC deal to see like how they're going to do this, and hopefully they don't make the same mistakes as they have in the past, where they just start off hot and start putting on bullshit fights down the line. But we're going to talk about that in more detail. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and then as soon as we get some more news, you can expect for us to be back. You can follow Big J at Old Mate Big J on Twitter, at me at TstreeT Controversy. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.